how to deal with relapsing when you're on semen retention. I'm going to give you a bulletproof strategy to make sure you don't continually self-destruct after starting semen retention. Now, the reason why I'm making this video is because on my journey, and I've been on this journey for about a decade and a bit now, right? There's been so many times that I've destructed or self-destructed and then continued on for weeks, if not months, right? And then I learned how to deal with it so that if I relapse, right, I jump straight back onto the bandwagon and I'm able to go through with power, poise, and purpose, and not lose the benefits as well, right? Because if you deal with relapsing wrong, you lose the benefits instantly, right? But that doesn't have to be the case. Before I get into this though, make sure that you joined my free WhatsApp community. Link is below, and obviously like and subscribe to this channel. So I'm going to start off with a phrase, right? Is that you cannot shame yourself into progress. And I'm going to explain this through stories of my own journey. So I remember when I was starting off with this journey, I was in my early 20s, maybe 21, 22, right? And, I'm coming out of religion at this time, right? I still believe in the Bible, nothing against religion at all. It's just that I feel like I'm more of a citizen of the kingdom of heaven, which is something I learned from a preacher called Miles Monroe. So at that time, I'm really strict, it's like, all right, cool, can't look at this, can't do this, right? I'm trying to fast for 2 weeks. I'm fasting, I'm reading my Bible every day. And then it got to the stage, right, when obviously I'm young. I'm in my early 20s at this moment in time. The fire is rife. So I end up relapsing, right? I end up fapping. Do you know what I mean? And I release. And I was just so guilty, right? It was like I lost all confidence in myself. I was like, oh my God, all of this power has left me. I'm starting again from day one. All of these thoughts in my head, I'm not worthy. I'm sinning. God is judging me for this. And so I started to spiral. These thoughts came into my mind and I was spiraling, right? And so, yeah, I tried to jump back on. I went maybe 6 days, 7 days, but these thoughts hadn't left me, right? I was still feeling really low, really bad about myself. And I did 60 something days prior. It wasn't like, oh yeah, I just did 7 days and I relapsed. No. I was going in. So again, these thoughts kept coming. Then the urges came back. Your first week, the urges are always there, especially around day 6 or 7. And I was just like, it doesn't matter, right? And then I ended up fapping, right? This time, right, not only did I end up fapping, I ended up going back to porn, right? Because my self-confidence, everything else had just dropped to an all-time low. And so this kind of made me start looking at different types of content. I started to justify, right, what it was that I was doing, not internally, but externally. So looking for external validations, maybe I could use this, even there were some people that teach that you could use porn, right? And so I was into that, if that makes sense, like looking at that sort of content, right, to make myself internally feel better by getting external validation. So I spiraled for a while. Obviously, I got back in, but that spiral was deep, right? Especially at the start of the journey. Now, take it forward, right? Couple of years, I'm really into this journey at this moment in time, right? Now, again, I have relapsed. Every time I relapse, even though I was with a woman, right? I'm there judging myself. I'm feeling bad, which is also destroying the relationship that I had with those women as well, because I felt so bad about showing love, right? And so she's picking that up. Women magnify whatever we give them, so then they're magnifying negativity back at this moment in time, right? Really ends up destroying my life overall, like down to the point where these thoughts, this anger, this frustration destroyed everything in my life. When I mean everything, I ended up being homeless. This is no joke, right, of what happened in the start of my true spiritual journey, that I had to be fully humbled and put down to level 0, right, to be able to rebuild myself. So take it a couple of years, right? And at that moment in time, I'm homeless. I ain't sleeping with anyone anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not that. I'm not saying I'm living on the street at this moment in time. I'm working almost every day, and then I'm paying for hostels, right? So it's really expensive, and I'm just doing what I need to do. So there's no time, right, for that, which kind of, really propelled me on the journey. But then, right, I move out, get a girlfriend, I got on my own house, for example, and again, the same sort of journey happens. But this time I'd gone for so long and I looked at different types of content. I really started to understand, right, that love is God. Like, I understood what that meant, right? And so I made a decision that I'm no longer going to guilt myself, because I learned the lesson of what guilt and shame does to you, right? And so there was times, right, where I would quote unquote relapse, but rather than me at that moment in time looking at, and still to this day, right, I haven't relapsed in a while, but let's say I was to relapse, right, what I would be doing at that moment is showing love and compassion to myself. What do I mean by love and compassion? Because sometimes people feel like it's just like you're just saying it's okay. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I would look at what has happened, I would review it with love, right? Why is it that I relapsed? What is it that I needed, right, that made me step away from the commitments that I have made to myself? And then after looking into those things, right, I would find what that is, show compassion, and start giving that to myself, so that rather than me going into this spiral of guilt, right, losing my benefits, because it's mental as well as it is physical, guys, right? As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, right? So rather than me doing that, I review what it is that I needed, because you will reach, as the energy is spiraling up, you will reach certain points, certain lessons with retention at certain time points. So it could be your first 3 weeks, it could be your first 4 weeks, it could be your first month, right? It could just be that now in this cycle of you retaining, there's something that you need to do to channel that energy, which is in alignment with your spirit. Because remember, this is a spiritual, physical, and mental journey. So when you start to learn that, showing yourself love and compassion, right, and you're saying, oh, I relapse because at this moment in time, the energy is saying that I need to, I don't know, make cold calls for my business, or I need to change my job, right? That's what spirit is calling to you. You need to quit your job and start a business. You need to start making YouTube content. You need to start going for more walks. You need to start working out more. Whatever that is, you need to change the type of workout you're doing, right? Whatever it is that the energy is seeking, right, you show a love and compassion, because this energy is pretty much like your inner child coming to the surface, right, and showing its full expression, you being more of yourself. When you review that with love and compassion, you're able to then act on those things. And so the energy, you pass that lesson, because you give yourself the love and compassion. So next time when you get to that stage and you're like, oh, I'm feeling to relapse, this is what I need to be doing with myself, right, to help channel the energy, you then pass that test. And the thing is, it never gets easier, because these tests will continually happen to you as you are going along this journey. Because then eventually, right, you're going to get a partner, unless you're saying that you're going to be single the rest of your life, right, which I wouldn't suggest, right? It is not good that man be alone, right? And I truly do believe that. But when you find the right partner, that's going to be a whole new level of temptation, a whole new level of existence, right, that you would then need to integrate into your retention journey, right? What does that cycle look like? Because when you're with a partner, right, it's different. The journey is actually different, right? Because you're not going to hold forever if you're with someone, because you're going to want to procreate at a certain point. You're going to want to use this energy and create, not just with the universe, but with another person as well, which means you're going to make mistakes, right? When you're, especially if you're doing it with someone else and you're learning this and you're both growing. So it's all about loving yourself to growth. Remember that statement. Love yourself to growth. Because if you try to shame yourself or shame that inner child, right, for expressing itself, right, it's just going to go back in, and then you're going to lose all of your benefits. Because the main benefit is going to be your confidence and your ability to act. But if you're feeling guilty and you're feeling shame, these things will bring about something called apathy, which is the inability to act, meaning that all of your benefits are going to disappear, regardless of if you then retain for the first 7 days. You might go straight, you might be retaining and it feels like a flat line, pretty much from day one, because of the guilt and the shame that you're holding. So if you love yourself and you just say, this, it's happened, this is what caused it, now I'm going to integrate that into my being, you will start finding that even with the relapses, which are bound to happen, right? You're bound to make mistakes, right? You're not doing this, right? It's not ups and downs. It's more like a spiral. So let's say this level is your high, right? This level is you've relapsed or you're low, right? Rather than it just, because it's not going to just go like this, right? Nothing moves like this. You're going to kind of go spiraling up. Now, it might not be, for example, that you relapse and release at the low. It could be that you have like a flat line, you have a time when it's hard, things will happen. But if you're showing yourself love and compassion on the journey, you will always be going up to the highest version of yourself. And that is how you deal with relapses whilst you're on semen retention. I hope that this video has been helpful, guys. And leave a comment if you want to see any other content from me as well. And last but not least, guys, always remember that you are perfect by design. Peace.